Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Acabane101, and welcome to Acaratus. Acaratus is a tactical RPG made by the team over at Nodbrim Interactive, or Nodbrim Interactive, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I was sent this code about 2 months ago, but of course, as you've seen, I haven't been able to upload too many videos, or actually any videos for the past, 2 months. But I'm back, and let's go take a look at it. This is a steampunk-style game with mech building for your party members, and it's actually kind of interesting and kind of cool. It has some nice positives and some issues with it as well that we'll be going over. But first, as always, let's just jump into the options menu real quick. We got general here, borderless windowed mode. As you can see, if I hit apply and close and then go to options, it turns back on. I don't know why that's the case. Obviously, I have full screen turned on here, but I think even if you go into windowed mode, it doesn't actually bring you into the borderless full screen or remove anything. It's just kind of buggy and kind of weird. Excuse me. And I'm not not a big fan of that. Render mode, low quality, high quality, not really many options going on. Action camera, all that good stuff. Just very, very simple. What's not as simple though is the sound settings. I do appreciate the options for ambient, music, effect volume, and even master volume, which is immediately turned down for some reason. Don't know why that is, but we're gonna leave it a little bit low just so you can hear me as we are going into it. And of course, under the graphics options, like I showed, we have full screen, VSync on or off. Gonna play with it on for now, just so I have the game locked to 60 frames per second, so nothing breaks horribly, because sometimes it does that when you're trying to record, and that's the worst. Lots of different options here for you to choose for your resolution, which is always nice. Always appreciate that. And it's not like a horrible drop down menu, or some games make you have to freaking click left or right until you find it, and that is just a nightmare. Interface size, you can also increase this and decrease this by 25%. Very nice, including the text scale. So if you have difficulties actually reading anything, you can adjust those accordingly. Very nice, guys. All right, let's go into the skirmish mode for just a quick moment. As you can see, we have a big, mean mech here. I've actually made this one earlier just to kind of test some things out. But if you hit edit here, or sorry, there, if you click on this guy here, this little Templar dude, you can see you can create a new commander. You can make a range one, which is, guess what, for range combat, Templar for defensive combat, and Marauder, which is more of a offensive melee style, jump into your enemies and slay them with your swords, because of course, that's just badass. And you can choose every single one of these to specialize into, so you can go Ranger, Templar, Marauder, whatever you want. Choose a portrait. Portrait doesn't matter, you can play as whoever you want, and then you can just say, new commander. You get a little bit of a tune. So we can go ahead and choose from one of these basically empty slots for us to make a robot. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a mech. So we have a bunch of options here in the cores, and also, wait, let me just explain this real quick. You'll see it says defensive and offensive. It's really tiny. If you're watching this on your phone, it probably just looks like a blur or you don't see it at all, but trust me, it's there. Defensive is you spawn further back in the army, and then offensive, you spawn further forward, which kind of makes sense. So you put your ranged units in the back, or your mortar strikers and all that stuff, put them in the back, and then you put your tanky stuff in the front so they don't, so those guys take the easy brunt of the damage as you are laying waste from behind, which I don't know if that is a euphemism or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and make ourselves a battle core. So as you can see, each of the battle cores have various perks. Some of them, like these box guys, can actually go up to everything. They can have a piece of every type of stuff, which is very, very cool. Or if you want to specialize, say, be super, super, super tanky, you can sacrifice some parts. For example, like the back items, which would be mortars or things like that. You can actually sacrifice those and get more defense, depending on the core that you're using. You'll also notice that a lot of these items here have different tiers, and you'll see this in the main campaign. You start at tier 1 in the campaign, and you kind of make your way up to tier 4, and so on and so forth. Not sure what the highest tier is. Obviously, we see things like tier 4 here, like the Commander Core, which is super, super strong, right? It just really depends on what you want to go for in your build. But let's just go for a basic core, because we are very basic right now. This is how you basic right now. And we can choose our legs. So just like in Armored Core, of course, you need some legs. You gotta have legs, or else you're not gonna be able to do anything. And just like everything else, you're gonna need to pay attention to what you have. So if you want to have some propellers, you can actually put those on the top, or if you want some legs, put them on the bottom. But it doesn't seem like you can have both. So it's either you're flying or you're on the ground and doing all that stuff. Anyway, we can also go to the arms, which this is not just arms. It's also like top, back, and everything else. You also notice that legs, it also works for top and all that stuff. But whatever, let's just ignore that nonsense. It's a little bit more confusing as you go along here. But as you can see, I gave him a two-handed weapon. It has to go in the left-hand slot, oddly enough. But then it fills up the right-hand slot. We'll remove that just so we can give an example of equipping your dude with other gear pieces, like the Northern Sword. There we go. Now we can be the true lions of all the world. Excellent. You can also put some boosters on there too. And each of these will give you various perks, like how it's a little bit of an eyeball. It's very cool. I think for the most part, everyone agrees that this is actually a really, really cool thing. I read through some of the Steam reviews, and a lot of people kind of see this as a really cool thing, and I also have to agree with them. This is a very, very cool thing to make your own unique units. You can also call him Mr. I. Of course, he's Mr. I. He's going to get you. He's going to steal your eyes. And there you go. You have your little dude there just kind of hanging out. And that's just kind of how the basic building goes for a lot of the stuff. And you can go ahead and play. And also there should be an online feature. But I don't think I have access to it because I don't have a full set of dudes. And I'm assuming, as you play online, you can earn gold for your single player campaign. Because I think this is the same gold that I have for my campaign. And you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's return to the main menu. Let's go to the campaign. You'll notice I'm playing on easy difficulty, but let me go to new campaign for a moment. There is normal, hard, harder, and run for your life, and finally impossible. Even more reinforcements each week and more troops. So I guess there's going to be basically tons and tons and tons of enemies to deal with as the weeks go by. But we're playing on easy just because I had difficulty on my first playthrough of the game. But now I've actually become so overpowered, I'm actually considering starting a new campaign, but I wanted to show you guys an example of what it looks like after about an hour of playtime. Of course, I have not beaten the game. This is not a review, just first impressions. And let's go ahead into the campaign. So let's load up the campaign here, and hopefully everything doesn't break. It loves to freeze. This is like right when you hit load campaign, it loves to freeze up like this. Okay, we're good. Here we are. We're in Lithorin. We have 3 different units here. We have Former Slave. We have Bolt, the main character, or second main character, I guess you could say. We have our hero, if you want to call her that. She's kind of a jerk if you read the story. We'll take a look at some of the cutscenes in a bit. But yeah, she's our main character. She levels up, gets different perks and all that stuff. It even tells you what difficulty you're currently on. So these are the current perks that I've unlocked. And of course, these little buffs here are from the difficulty choice. And then these guys are from me getting some levels. So since we're in town, we can actually go to the blacksmith here and choose to upgrade our different units. You may notice these little Roman numerals under our units, and that's the tier that they are. So if you have enough gold, which is at the top left of the screen, it does look like the gold carries over. I could be wrong there. That might be a different number, but looks very similar. Yes, so you have a different Roman numeral for each of your units. And as this levels up, you get more units. And just kind of think of the idea of each unit is like stacked into one visual object, I guess you could say. And you'll see it in the combat, which we'll show off in just a moment. Basically, you just want more units, because more units means more health. For example, our main hero here, Bolt, he has 16 HP per unit, and he has 17 of those. And as you lose more units, you're going to do less damage, because there's less of them to do damage for you. I don't really know what other games do that, but I know there definitely is quite a few out there that kind of do this tactical RPG style, where one giant unit represents a great many of them. Anywho, let's go into the hangar, which you can only do this in the cities on the map, which I'll show off in a second here. You saw a glimpse of it there earlier. So in here, you can also click and drag and take a look at the different units that you have. You can go edit. You can change the name of the units. Permadeath is not a thing, at least on easy and normal difficulty. Don't know if they add that later on. I really doubt it, because this game would be pretty tough if that was the case. But if you lose all your units, you can come back to a town or go to a camp. You'll completely get your health back for all the units, and they'll be good to go. So, as you can see, you can go ahead and equip your units, just like before. And it can make him a very defensive ranged unit. Yeah, might not be that useful, although blocking is quite useful against other ranged targets. But this guy has a very, very strong gun arm going on, so he's a lot of fun. And the shotgun blast always helps indeed. Actually, let's give him that sword. I think it was the northern sword, right? So he has a little bit of melee capabilities and all that stuff. You can also see how much he weighs, the block and all that stuff. I don't really know like the intricate details when it comes to like all these things. I think, as it says here, weight slows you down, so you move less tiles. But I'm assuming the more you weigh yourself down, probably the more armor you're going to get. But I have a really crappy core, as you can see, the Valerian Core 1. I do more projectile damage, but that's about it. Doesn't have too many options, just left and right arms and then the legs. Not a whole lot. Now, you may be wondering, how do you upgrade your dudes? How do you get these items? Well, here's the map. You start over here on the road, and you get to the first town where you upgrade your dude, and then you kind of go around the map and try and unlock these merchants by fighting dudes and all that stuff. So, for example, we'll go over to this merchant here, and you'll be able to see that we can purchase or sell various items that we have in our inventory, and just hit that trade button there, and we'll be able to grab that. But I don't really need the item at the moment. And you'll notice at the top of the map that there is a little timer telling you what week it is. It's week number 5. It's actually about to be week number 6. And as you move, this kind of ticks forward just ever so slightly. So if we actually head back here and then one more, as you can see, a new week has started, which probably means there's more bad guys just kind of hanging out. Also, I accidentally moved my character. I know it said in the difficulty thing that there's reinforcements, but I haven't really noticed any of that. So I can't really say anything on that. Again, I only played about an hour and a half of this game. Not too much. So if you go back to the merchant here, you'll see there is some new pieces of gear that we can go ahead and grab, but nothing really that useful. So we're gonna say leave. You can go to the other merchant and kind of see what he does. All characters in the game kind of have this nice thing. Ooh, plus 10% damage. I will take that. Thank you, sir. And 50% increased critical chance and critical damage. You know what? I'll take that as well. Thank you. Thank you, kind random merchant of kindness. All right, cool. And these are the different camping spots and all that stuff. And you'll be able to use these to repair your characters. But enough of that. It is time to fight. It has been like 12, 13 minutes, and we have not fought anything yet. Ah, the soil turned black, and looking up revealed a scorched pile of wood that once was a temple. In front lies the remains of the Manju priest, burnt at the stake.
What is that?
Jirelli was right. It used to be a Manju temple.
And that used to be the priest.
Why is Helios doing this? He was once a just ruler.
If you're on the top, perhaps.
Come, we might still find some Manju artifacts worth saving.
We have to get past that group of Helia guards first.
We can take them.
Oh, and thus we must murder.
That's basically how the story goes. Just kind of walk around.
Oh, we gotta murder these guys.
Dun dun dun. Is that the artifact there? All right, so it says reach the goal tile. That is my current objective. You can see that on the top left of the screen, or kind of close to that. That's actually really weird. You might not be able to see this too easily, but it's like a very strange black line there, as if there's supposed to be something that pops up, but it's just like not. Don't know what that is. Anyway, here's our objective. We have to get to this exit turn thing. Lots of turrets here with level 25 units, which is really, really nuts. Looks like we need to go past this giant boulder. Maybe we can use that for some sort of defensive stuff. Anyway, I didn't actually get a chance to show you guys the card building, but I'll show you right after this. we have a bunch of cards that we can use. You can upgrade this as you level up your hero. You level up through doing combat and quests. Or actually, I think it's just through quests. Could be wrong. Anyway, you get these items here. We have AP, we have guard, repair, and slow. So we can actually use these abilities pretty much at any time. But once you use them, they're expired, and you're going to have to find more throughout doing more quests and whatnot on the map to keep using them. And then we have these blue cards. These are through leveling up in the game. And I've chosen perks that give me these every single turn. So I get to use these once every turn on one of my units, which actually makes them pretty much the most valuable cards that I currently have at my disposal. And then as you can see, we have our 3 units here. So the one that was in the most defensive position is back here. And I guess for some reason, the offensive dude is also next to my other forward defensive guy. So yeah, sure. All right, fine. Okay, so movement phase. So we have the ability to actually shoot before moving, but since we don't have range on any of these guys, I do have a mortar. I have a ranged weapon on all my guys, but my mortar does not have range. So we're going to go ahead and just move straight forward. Oh, I stepped on a hazard. So there are hazards in the game. And apparently they're real time, but I haven't really noticed that. They just kind of do their thing, so it's not really a big deal to me. But anyway. Oh, there we go. So now we can use some range combat here. And there you go. Lots and lots of damage. Already down to 12 units on that guy because we're going to be, well, steamrolling them. We are on easy difficulty against a very weak opponent, so it's just going to work that way. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to do damage to my guy. All right, sweet. So as you can see, we don't have range combat here. So what we're going to do is we're going to head south, and that pretty much ends my turn. Units have what's called the action points, you know, those classic action points. That allows them to move, and depending on the legs and the weight of the character, they're going to be able to move certain distances and all that stuff. But for now, we're going to use engage here to kind of move the guy forward, and of course he's going to jump into the puddle. Sure, it sounds like a genius move, friend. I'm going to give you tactics as well, just kind of move you away. There we go. And then we can choose to face them. This will face the nearest one, which apparently to the game's algorithm, diagonally, it's this guy. No, wait, it's this guy in the middle. Ha, makes perfect sense. All right, now let's go ahead and hit skip turn. Wow, that does a considerable amount of damage. Ow. That wasn't very nice. All right, let's go down here. I guess that's what I get for just kind of hanging out. Wait, what? Okay, it is real time. So there's hazards in the game that are real time, which is not particularly a smart move on the developer's part, and I'm not a big fan of that. So Steam forums were right. Surprising, right? Look at this. It's all real time. That is a very odd choice for a turn-based game. Anyway, let's go ahead and move south. And let's go get ourselves engage. Really? He's gonna... So the way engage works is that it's supposed to move you in position to do damage to your opponent. And if you're not close enough to your opponent, it's supposed to bring you closer to the opponent. However, because of this thing being here, we're going to need to destroy it. Because it's being evil. Also, this thing has infinite health. So that means engage is completely useless. Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. Anyway. Let's go ahead and, do we have anything we can use? No? Alright. Alright, cool. That's cool. Let's go ahead and, do nearest. And, oh! There you go. There's another flaw with nearest. I guess I'm showing you guys all the, major issues with the game, which is the fact that a lot of the cards, depending on what's happening in the game, and of course the stupid live-action events, can really negatively affect how you control the character. Now, if you're to play something like Final Fantasy Tactics, at the end of every turn, you can actually choose which direction your character is facing. I think also Disgaea, which is another tactical RPG, which is, I wouldn't say super similar to Tactics, but has a lot of similar ideas with the controls. And that just allows you to choose your facing, because facing is important in these types of games. Depending on which way you're looking, could very well mean life or death. Because if you're getting hit in the back, you're going to be taking, like, critical or bonus damage. Alright, let's go ahead and shoot this guy. Now, the weird thing is about these this live event stuff is that I'm going to be taking extreme damage. even if I'm moving quickly, there's no way to like move your characters actively out of the way. So it's kind of just a very odd design decision. Now, I will mention that this is a very rare occurrence where you have to deal with this stuff, but obviously this is a story-based mission, so quite odd that we have to deal with this. Anyway, let's go ahead and give ourselves tactics. We're going to move forward a little bit. And engage is not going to work very well for us. Look at that. See, like my main character just took a huge blast because of that. Anyway, we'll let the enemy turn go, and they're going to be able to snipe me a little bit. All right, cool. Move up a little bit. Do some range damage. And look at that. I just lost a unit. And thus is the number one flaw of the game, I have to say. Honestly, the game is really cool, and the design of the mechs and the way that you build all your characters is super, super cool. But the design decision and the map design and the live action comets and there's other things in the game as well, like I think it was a freeze ray or whatever. These things really hold the game quite a bit back, and it's actually just a major issue. I think... Can I not move anymore? I just sworn I could. Engage! Not that I can really do anything with that. Give myself some tactics. Move up a little bit. Cool. End the turn. I'm probably gonna get wiped here. Oh my god. No! Please! Dead. And there you go. A solid defeat on easy difficulty thanks to the live action encounters. And that's one of the biggest issues with the game at the current moment. Hence why I'm playing on easy, because there is a lot of bullshit like that in the game. But you see what I mean, right? There's a lot of cool ideas. It's very simple to play. The card mechanic's cool. If I show you this here, we can actually choose like, hey, I want 2 dashes. I want 2 guards. I want some repair. There you go. Repair yourself up. And obviously I could have used those on my guys, but it's still a bit much. I'm taking hundreds of damage just because the enemy's taking their turn. Could you imagine playing this on multiplayer and having random meteors and comets falling on your character while your opponent is making decisions? What if your opponent decided to just kind of wait and just let that happen to you while you're playing the game? And then, you know, their turn's done and your entire army's dead because boulders landed on top of them. Now, I can't say for sure if that's even a map on the multiplayer, but it's still kind of BS in the single player. Anyway, let's go ahead and try and find ourselves another match here. Everything's going to be considered deadly until we go back to a camping spot. There we go. Very weak. Complete change of pace. Let me show you a bit of a more normal fight here. This map is very common. A lot of the maps in the game, at least in this early bit here, are very samey within the first hour. Lots of repeats. Lots of repeats. Oop, did not mean to click off you. Let's go boop boop. Now there's these blue tiles here, and these actually give you defensive bonuses, which is very nice. All right. Oddly enough, this one unit here loves to move diagonally. It's such a weird thing. There you go. Take that. He has a nice little perk that gives him double shot. Very nice. And then this guy here. Let's go engage. Lovely. Can you I don't think you can shoot anyone though. All right. Wait, he can! Yes! Excellent. That's why I didn't go for that second move there. Alright, cool. And I think that's everyone, so let's go ahead and end our turn. So you can kind of see just how many units are currently left there. There was a counterattack because his weapon has the ability counterattack, which is a random chance to counterattack the enemy. Very powerful indeed. As you can see, I can actually choose to move up and melee this guy. If I hold left click down, I can actually click and hold and drag it over these, and you can see just how much damage it's going to do. So we're going to go pick Burst Attack, which hits the enemy and I believe one behind him. Oh, I guess I was incorrect about that. Or maybe it was just like the way the damage works. I think what happens there is that he got hit twice, because you can see in the stats. He got hit first and it did 80 damage, and it did a second hit for 78 damage. And maybe there's like bullet spread or something kind of calculated into there. It's a lot of cool little stats. Like there's a lot of cool things in the game that I really like, but the unfortunate thing is those environmental hazards, which are completely broken and kind of ruin the experience, make it very difficult. There's a battle report there. Let's do, see, look, now we have a story mission over here. All right, interesting. Let's go fight this guy. So your units are actually going to persist until you go back to a campsite. So usually it's a good idea to go back to a campsite. At this point in time, there's no reason not to go back to a campsite before you do your next fight. But just for, you know, for funsies, we're going to do this. Let's go shoot this guy.
Shoot him in the face.
Well, diagonally, because we're apparently a bishop. Cool. Let's see here. Let's do a tactics. Oops. Get the click and drag, which is a bit of a pain. Here we go, nearest. Hey, there you go. Look at that. Nearest worked, because you weren't targeting a giant enemy structure in the middle of the map, which is always great. All right, let's move this guy up. Shoot him with a mortar. I'd rather him to come to me, so I'm just going to kind of hang out. And then we'll move this guy up. All the explosions, and we'll do engage. Beautiful, jumped right into the defensive position. Engage is a very random ability, it feels like. Unless you are right next to an enemy, it can be completely questionable what ends up happening. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's go here. Shoot this guy. There we go, very nice. So like, for example, the best way to kind of use this would be kind of go here, and then we'd use, and not tactics. Engage! Jump to the back of the enemy, and it allows you to do, like, extreme damage. And somehow not kill him and get counterattacked. Nice. Alright. Anyone else have a move? You have a move. And now he's turned around because he counterattacked. And then boom, boom. And wow, this guy's a lot of defense, surprisingly. But soon he will die, and his days of warfare will be over. Counterattack, too strong. Apparently the devs have played a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, because they sure love counterattack. Alright. But yeah, that's pretty much how the game's gonna go. You're gonna basically walk around the map, do all the main scenario quests, I guess you could call them that, read some of the story, and as we saw, and that's kind of how it goes. It's kind of simplistic, and I think the game is selling for about 20 bucks right now, which I'm not sure how long the experience is going to be, but honestly, the experience is kind of ruined by the random live action event, like boulders coming down from the sky. The way that they could fix that very easily is just give an indicator and say, hey, you see this indicator on the ground, get away from it by the next turn, or else you're going to get hit by it. And, you know, otherwise it's just going to be kind of complete BS. It's not going to be very fun for anyone in that matter. Just kind of watching boulders come down as your opponent is taking their turn and all that stuff. Or while you're trying to do a turn for one of your characters. It's a turn-based game, so the environmental attacks, which are totally fine to have, should also be turn-based. And just kind of give proper indicators as for when they happen. Maybe just make them have a wider AoE, so it's a bit harder for the more tanky and slow robots, or machines, or mechs, whatever you want to call them, to get out of the way. Otherwise, though, it's a cool game, and I hope they patch it, and I hope they fix that issue, because otherwise, I would definitely recommend it. At this point in time, though, I would not recommend it with the event thing going on. But definitely take a look at it in the future if it goes on sale for maybe 50% off, if it still has that event thing, or buy it at full price if they remove that in the future. Anyway, guys, I'm Acaratus101. Thank you very much for watching. This is Acaratus. You can pick it up on Steam right now. Link in the description for you to check it out. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.